Today we've got 5 relationship stories from Reddit for you, so we hope you've got yourself a fresh cup of coffee to sip on and a hot bowl of popcorn to fill your belly with. Let's get started.
I'm a 23-year-old guy and have been going through a rather rough patch with my ex. She's 22. We were together for 3 years. A proposal was planned. We just bought our first home together. We've hardly ever had a serious fight. And when we did argue, it was brief, and we were usually all good by the end of the day. However, one day I was at work and she had the day off, so she was sitting at home. She was acting a little off and asked if she could go smoke with my best friend. He's also 22. This wasn't uncommon because we would both hang out with him quite often on the weekend, but she's never spent time with him alone. I asked if I could come by and join them after work, and that's when the fight started. She told me I was controlling and didn't trust her, when in reality, I just wanted to spend time with my girlfriend, who I planned on proposing to later in the month. She ended up walking out of the house when I got home and said we were done. She even left her promise ring and everything behind. I've since come to find out that she slept with my best friend on the night she walked out, and she kept this from me and gaslit me until the truth finally came out. She became abusive and would leave my arms bruised and sometimes cut up. I was raised to never hit a woman, so I never fought back. I wanted to work things out, even after she cheated on me. She was still living in my house and still insisting on hanging out with my friend. Fast forward to now, she's temporarily living out of state with her parents, and I've got a temporary no-contact order against her. She even got arrested for battery. Now she's tweeting about how she misses me and is miserable without me. I want to get back with her, but I can't tell if it's a trap. I still love this girl quite a bit and would love nothing more than to get back with her, but I want it to be done right this time.
That's a lot, and honestly, I can't see anything good coming out of a relationship like this. Now, it's easy to say that someone should leave a relationship when they're being abused, but for the person involved, it never seems to be an easy move for them. Deep down, OP most likely knows that this isn't a good or healthy situation, but still can't tear himself away from it. Honestly, in situations like this, I'd suggest therapy. Being with an abusive partner is dangerous and unpredictable. Who knows what'll happen in the future if OP chooses to build a life with someone like this?
My girlfriend's 24 and I'm 28. When we first met, I fell in love with her immediately, but we had to separate for a while because we worked in different cities. When we reunited, I saw her behaving strangely, like hiding or tilting her phone away from me whenever I was close to her. Ultimately, this is what made me go through her personal notebook. One page had a sex list of all the guys she had contact with. I confronted her and she told me that it's a ritual that she does whenever she starts a new relationship, like some sort of purification. She goes to the mountaintop and has a ceremony where she writes on a paper card all the things she liked and didn't like about a guy. When she's done, she burns it while saying, "Nothing from you in me, nothing from me in you." I thought, well, if that helps you, good for you. But she had 9 guys on that list. 6 guys had vaginal sex with her and 3 only had oral. I saw all the names and I just can't get over it. And 2 of the guys she did something with while we were still dating. She told me the one guy she had a one-night stand with was way too tall for her, and she didn't like him, so she didn't meet him again. She had one fun buddy before we met, and she had oral fun with him while we were dating, and she continued meeting him even after she told me we were exclusive. I don't know what to do. Am I too jealous?
I'll start off by saying that anything that happened before OP and his partner got together is her business and hers alone. But once you established a relationship and agreed to be monogamous, that is your business. If you're going to build a life with someone, you have to be sure that you can trust them. And the fact that you can't trust her this early on in the relationship is an issue. What happens 10 years from now when you hit a rough patch in your relationship? Is she the kind of person who'll stay true to her word? Or will she sneak around behind your back? If you feel like something's off in your relationship, you should bring it up with her.
So this girl I'm dating has a guy best friend. We'll call him Nathaniel. They grew up together and have been in each other's lives on and off. I knew all this and I knew they were close, but she explicitly told me she had no romantic feelings for him. Before we started officially dating, she hung out with Nathaniel a lot. I remember a couple of times when she'd abruptly leave me to hang out with him. At this point, even though we weren't dating, it was something we were working towards. With this in mind, I convinced myself that I was being jealous and there wasn't anything going on between them. But after we said we were going to be exclusive, she was still hanging out with Nathaniel. I even had to tell her that I was uncomfortable with her sleeping in the same bed as him whenever they had sleepovers. Sometime after this, we were hanging out and she said that she needs to focus on her studies because finals were coming up. Which was true, she really did have to study. I obliged, but I suspected that she was still making time to hang out with Nathaniel. Now, this could have been because I was paranoid, but after I left her place, I staggered my exit and ended up seeing her walking around outside with Nathaniel. This was immediately after I left. When I asked her about it, she said it was a coincidence and that Nathaniel showed up unannounced, and in the end she told him to leave. I don't know what to make of this, but seeing her walking with him prompted me to tell her that I have some stuff to think about, and I don't want to follow through with the plans we had for the following day. In response to this, she showed up to my house, banging on the window until I acknowledged her. I responded to her after a while, and she finally admitted that she dated Nathaniel before we met. But she didn't want to tell me, because I already seemed insecure by his presence, and she didn't want to threaten our relationship. All in all, she said so much and probably lied about so much too. Honestly, I don't know what to do.
I can't imagine how OP must have felt, seeing his partner walking around with another guy after telling him she was too busy to spend time with him. When you're with someone, and you're building a relationship that should withstand the test of time, you and your partner should be each other's priorities. If you're too busy to spend time with your partner, you're too busy to hang out with friends. I strongly believe that nobody's too busy for the things they really want to do, or the people they really want to spend time with. When OP's partner finally admitted that she dated Nathaniel, it brought some things into question. I mean, what was really going on during those sleepovers? If you've been intimate with someone in the past and you end up sharing a bed with that person in future, there's a bigger chance of something going down. Anyway, that's enough from me. Let's see what the people had to say in the comments.
Mr. Ham says, "So because you seemed insecure." Which is super convenient, she didn't have to be open with you about something important. Now, since you've become official, she's been hanging out with and staying over with someone she was dating and told you they were only best friends. Even if nothing happened, you're not going to know, so the trust is already broken. The best reason she's given is, you seemed insecure. That's not really good enough. You're only dating, not married with kids, so is it worth continuing? Just to give you a baseline, I've been long-term friends with people of the opposite sex who've crashed over. One of us takes the bed, the other the sofa. We're close friends, hang out and play video games together. There's no need to lie about any of that, yet she did. Elegia says, "She lied to you about this guy from the start, then you started having doubts, which are justified after seeing her behavior. Instead of finally being honest with you, she continued lying and fueling your doubts. She only told you the truth because she was caught. Honesty is one of the foundations of a relationship, and she wasn't honest with you, so how can you trust her? Also, in my opinion, it's disrespectful for her to go out alone and have sleepovers with him. He's not someone she was dating years ago, who's just a friend now. He's someone she was dating just before you got together. After seeing her behavior, are you sure there's nothing going on? Lastly, I am in a relationship. It's been 2 years now, and I have a guy best friend too. One, I'd never ditch my boyfriend for him. If I want to go out with my friend, I'll meet up with him another day, but if I'm with my boyfriend, I dedicate my time to him and only him. 2, the first thing I wanted was for them to meet and get along. And that's the case now. I certainly didn't want to hide the identity of my friend to my boyfriend."
OP could ask her to not be friends with Nathaniel, and it's up to her whether she agrees. That said, it would have been much better if she came to that decision on her own. Personally, I don't think I'd be able to trust a single word she says.
Before we got married, me and my husband emphatically agreed to have children. The thing is, as time went on and I started to devote more of myself to my career, I realized that I was earning a decent amount of money, and that having children could significantly impact my future and personal freedom. I was starting to envision the possibility of opening my own business and pursuing something that truly excited me. With this new goal in mind, the idea of having children simply didn't fit into my life plan. I began to consider the challenges, responsibilities, and sacrifices that motherhood would bring, and I wasn't willing to give up everything I'd achieved so far, or compromise my professional fulfillment based on a decision I made years ago. Unfortunately, my husband isn't handling it well. He's disappointed and accuses me of being selfish for not wanting to give him children. To him, I've stolen 5 years of his life by keeping him in a false dream. He believes that couples therapy is ineffective because we're not on the same page. I acknowledge that he's the best partner I've ever had, so how can I save my marriage?
I feel like, if OP's husband really wants to have kids, therapy isn't something that would fix or change that. Even if OP did somehow convince her husband to not want kids, who's to say that 10 years down the road, he won't come to regret that decision, leading him to resent OP? Naturally, people do change their minds over time, so I wouldn't say OP's a terrible person for this. However, if this is something her husband wants, maybe the only thing she can do is let him go. I will say, though, there are many women who've built very successful businesses and still managed to have a family, so I don't see why OP can't do the same. If OP's career is really going to bring in the money, maybe her husband can stay with the kids. Those are just my quick thoughts. Let's see what's going on in the comments.
Harmonia says, kids are not something that can or should be compromised on. There's not a happy compromise for a child-free person or a person who wants them. There's no therapy that will fix this. One person will be unhappy, resentment will build, and it will only damage the relationship or potential children. He's wrong in that she's selfish, as he doesn't have to risk his life and career to have them. And she's wrong in the sense that the relationship will work with this fundamental difference in life goals. Liliette says, this is brutal, but excellent advice. It's not a bad thing that OP's husband wants children and subsequently feels like it's unfair since they married with this expectation. But it's also not a bad thing that OP evolved from where she was when they married and has decided that she doesn't desire having children. It would be bad to have children in this situation. When couples have children when one spouse doesn't desire them, they always end in divorce, with that one parent resenting the kids they never wanted in the first place. This marriage is finished. It's just a matter of when they put it in the coffin and bury it.
Most of the comments seem to be along this line of thinking, but at the end of the day, OP and her partner have to figure out what they want for their future.
My wife of 30 years has been working at a factory for the last 5 years. I recently discovered that at some point she added most of the guys from the plant to her account and made her account private. She said that she didn't make it private, and that's just how it was, but she won't make it public and absolutely refuses to let me see it. I also know that she messages these guys through her Facebook for what she claims is for work. When I mention it, she screams at me as loud as she can and says the vilest and meanest things I can think of. She's even told me that I make her so miserable that she'd rather die than spend one more minute with me, and if I want to be with her, I have to accept that she won't let me see it. What do you guys think? Am I crazy or am I in the right? Seriously, man, I have no one to talk to about this. I really need help.
This is most certainly not a good look. While I think everyone deserves privacy in a relationship, you shouldn't engage in behaviors that make your partner uneasy. When OP explained how his wife would react to him whenever he brings up her secret Facebook account, my immediate reaction was to get out of there. The thing is, they've been married for 30 years, so is this something they should throw away their marriage for? Nonetheless, regardless of how long you've been with someone, they deserve your respect. Without that, you have nothing. To have a secret account isn't a good look, and my only thought is that she's doing something with these colleagues that her partner most likely wouldn't appreciate. OP's wife expressing how miserable she is in the relationship, in such a crude way, makes me think that she's already looking elsewhere. Let's see what our fellow Redditors have to say in the comments.
Chaching says, "Hey there. You have absolutely no reason to be with someone who's telling you that you're making them miserable. Move on. Now, if you add on top of that, the fact that she's not giving it to you and blatantly says so, I mean, honestly, you have zero reasons to be with that person. If you add on top of that the fact that she screams at you when you're talking about her suspicious actions, wake the hell up. Zero reasons. I hope you got the point. Wishing you good luck with everything." Pizza Shima says, "For starters, even if the whole social media thing wasn't an issue, the vile and despicable language towards you is highly unacceptable. You don't deserve to be spoken to like that under any circumstances. And to take it a notch further and yell at you just for bringing it up, no. It should be a conversation where she acknowledges your concerns, worries, and fears so you guys can work through it. She's shown you where she stands and likely only hangs on because divorce is expensive and change can be difficult. What I suggest for you is to sit down, take a deep breath, pack your things, and then find somewhere you can be happy. I'm sorry this is happening to you, but she's disrespecting you at every turn. You have the right to see her social media, at the very least, and there's absolutely no reason to keep it hidden unless there's something she's trying to hide. She's probably also hiding from the others that she's married. You deserve peace, calm, happiness, and loyalty, the basics at the very least. She told you plain as day, so now it's up to you. Are you going to continue to be verbally abused and very likely cheated on? Or are you going to put your foot down and say enough is enough? In the end, the choice is yours, hun.
The people in the comments section are out for blood. They want to see an end to this relationship as soon as possible. I wouldn't say that right now because I don't know enough about their relationship. There could be all sorts of things going on. That said, the secret account and the abusive language needs to be addressed, and OP really should consider his options. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Coffee and Popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.